between the United States and China is close, and as US President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping prepare to meet for the first time since 2019. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has said that both sides have come up with a framework for Trump and Xi to discuss in South Korea. Bessent has also said in an interview that he expects the sides to reach a deal that would defer China's threatened export controls on rare earths and avoid a 100% tariff that Trump has threatened to impose on Chinese goods. Let's listen in.
But I can tell you we had a very good 2 days, so I would expect that the threat of the 100% has gone away, as has the threat of the immediate imposition of the Chinese initiating a worldwide export control regime. Margaret, we reached a final deal on TikTok. We'd reached one in Madrid, and I believe that as of today, all the details are ironed out, and that will be for the two leaders to consummate that transaction on Thursday in Korea.
Now, in another interview, Bessent has stated that Beijing has agreed to make substantial purchases of US agricultural products, with the Treasury Secretary saying that he would make US soybean farmers feel very good. Meanwhile, Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng has said that sides have reached a basic consensus on the arrangements to address each side's concerns. According to the Chinese Ministry of Commerce, Lifeng has stated that the two sides have agreed to finalize specific details and to proceed with domestic approval processes for the trade deal. Trump and Xi are expected to meet this week in South Korea on the sidelines of the APEC summit. Now we are joined by Venus Upadhyaya. He's a journalist at the Epoch Times, and she joins us live from Taipei in Taiwan. Thank you very much, Venus, for joining us. Some positive words coming there from US officials. Do you see any real concessions from the table from either side, or is this just diplomatic, positive mood music before this significant Xi-Trump meeting?
I think both the sides are rooting for their respective interests, and that's why the negotiations are happening. And I do not per se see any major compromise from either side. As the developments, from what I see from the developments, is that both sides are validating their own interests. And I think the major concern was here about Taiwan. If U.S. would what would be the U.S. Message on Taiwan, during these negotiatory talks. And I think that U.S. has come very clearly on that there would basically be no concessions. Other than that, it's all about trade, and it's about, the major thing is about the rare earths, and that's why Xi and President Trump are meeting. So that's the context to the whatever has happened in Kuala Lumpur yesterday.
Yes, Venus, do stay with us as we have further updates coming out of the region. And tensions are once again rising between China and Taiwan, as reports suggest that several H-6K bombers flew near Taiwan in simulated confrontation drills just days before scheduled meetings of President Donald Trump and Xi Jinping in South Korea. The bombers, capable of carrying nuclear weapons, were joined by J-10 fighter jets in what Beijing called combat-oriented training under its Eastern Theater Command. The exercises focused on air blockades and precision strikes, showcasing China's readiness. However, Taipei's defense ministry reported only limited Chinese aircraft near its airspace in the past 24 hours. The drills come as Washington reaffirms its commitment to Taiwan's defense, while Beijing repeatedly calls for peaceful reunification. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te insists peace must be built on strength, not illusions, warning that paper promises alone can't secure peace. Meanwhile, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has warned that a multipolar world is coming, a remark seen as a veiled swipe at Washington. He urged countries to respect diversity and cooperation, emphasizing that no one should impose their will on others. Let's in fact listen in to what he said.
动辄退群毁约，热衷编织阵营化小圈子，使多边主义遭受前所未有的挑战。但是，历史潮流无法逆转，多极世界正在到来。如果迷信实力至上，热衷强权霸凌，只会把世界推向弱肉强食的丛林，只会动摇国际体系和规则的根基。我们呼吁停止将经贸问题政治化，停止人为割裂全球市场，停止动辄挑起贸易。
Venus joins us once again from Taipei to discuss this. Venus, let's start, of course, with those bombers that have been flying near the self-governed island, which is where you are, as these trade talks have been happening. Is China using these bomber flights near Taiwan to remind Washington that trade is not the only pressure point here?
I think China is reiterating its policy on Taiwan. China is doing what it has been always doing and giving the same kind of messages. However, we also have to note that the news about the Chinese, air activity is mostly disclosed on the Chinese official Weibo channel. But as you said, that the Taiwanese Defense Ministry, hasn't validated it. Fighter jets and some other activity. They haven't talked about any air intrusion with any nuclear capabilities. So I think obviously it's an intimidating message, and it's likely to reiterate Chinese long-standing policy on Taiwan. So while the U.S. president has said that he is going to talk Taiwan with Xi Jinping, which today's news reports say that the idea to bring Taiwan on the table, on the talks that are going to happen on Thursday between Xi Jinping and Trump, it was China's idea. So we have to see what happens on Thursday. The U.S. side has said that they are not going to make any compromises on Taiwan. So overall, the situation is that the U.S. is reiterating its long-standing policy on Taiwan, while China is also reiterating its long-standing policy on Taiwan, which most likely looks like it's going to be the status quo.
Venus, of course, you're joining us from the Taiwanese capital in the media circuit as well. What's the feeling over there when you get updates like this? What's the public saying, the public sentiment?
The usual day. So you see, I have this Taipei Times newspaper in my hand, and what I said is what the newspaper says. But there's something very interesting which I noted, and it's the cover page news here, the top news on today's Taipei Times. And here, which is written by a staff writer with CNA. CNA is their state news agency, Taiwanese state news agency. A very interesting thing is that it mentions the meeting as a meeting between the world's two superpowers. So I think that really struck me because I feel that the Taiwanese are very pragmatic. They understand that both US and China are two leading superpowers, and they know that they are somewhere settled between the two. And they know what they need to do, for their interest.
Yes, do stay with us, Venus. We have one final Chinese diplomatic update to bring our audience. The Chinese Premier Li Qiang has said that